And we're apparently live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Orange Head Does Heroes of the Storm. We are today playing the new hero, Probius. Isn't he cute? Aww. I'm Phil, and with me, as always, is Jamie.
Hello.
And we're going to jump into the sandbox mode to see what we think of him, talk about some builds, and just generally dick around. Because fun times. Exited host mode. Apparently, Twitch needs to tell me 3 times that I've now stopped hosting someone and I'm about to start streaming. Or have started streaming.
It is a bit mental sometimes.
Oh god, Twitch is just like OP with its messages in my face. Why did I just roll backwards? Oh. Quiet Man is currently in control of all cheats.
Oh man, I want some sweet hacks.
Right, so, Probius. Oh shit, need to turn off synergy. There we go. Probius, look at him! Look at his little face! He makes so cute noises. As you may have noticed, we have a wonderful thumbnail coming up on the video. If you're watching this on YouTube, that basically is Wally, because he's so cute. Look at him! Does a little dance with his little eye closed. And he plays little music as well. It's basically a Lucio stereo.
Yeah, like Lucio's little boombox that he got should have been a tiny Probius.
Also, he has the best B step ever. Just looks like a moonwalk. Right, so, well, who is Probius? For those of you who have never played Starcraft or Starcraft 2, Probius is a builder unit from Starcraft, from the Protoss, and is apparently the same little dude that was in the cutscene for Legacy of the Void, the awesome one where the Protoss fight the Zerg, and there's a little tiny probe who beams in a pylon that allows reinforcements to arrive, and he is that probe. He's a specialist, and he's kind of a builder unit like Gazlo. Let me just set top minions. Just turn all the minions off for the moment.
Yeah, they'll just get in the way.
They'll just get in the way. Actually, I might turn some minions off. Enable for right team.
What was quite interesting, you're talking about him being a specialist in a builder unit. In his unit description, he's described as a summoner, but with like a capital S, as if summoner is going to be a thing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they've changed a lot of the
class
descriptions.
type.
Like, Artanis is now referred to as a bruiser in his description, and Anubrak is referred to as a tank. So whether they're going to go the way of like, kind of splitting up the main 3 designations at the moment, who knows? Oh, that's awkward.
Yeah, I've said for a while that they needed to do that. That you know, that some characters, just because you're a warrior, it doesn't mean you're a tank.
Yeah.
For example, Artanis being a perfect example of that. I mean, that things have changed since I first got annoyed about that. Insofar as you can you quite often see a solo warrior Artanis now, and it's not a bad decision
since
by
the
any stretch of the
rework,
imagination.
like that's the problem is the meta shifts, so you can't say someone isn't a solo tank forever, and it just gets annoying. But anyway, we're not talking about those changes. We're going to talk about Probius. Yay!
Yay!
So, what does he do? Well, basically he's built around his trait. His trait is Warp in Pylon. It's on a 14-second cooldown, and it warps it. Oh, shut up, Ravenlord. I always forget to turn this off. How do I turn off? Oh, I can't. Oh, shit. Okay, I can't turn that off after it started, so we just have to not collect it. I made a boo-boo. So, yes, where was I? Shit. Right, pylons. Fucking Ravenlord. Warp in a pylon that generates a power field and grants vision of the surrounding area. Probius only regenerates mana while inside a power field. And Jamie, I can hear your fucking knee sick. Can you take it away? So it's basically a fairly short cast range, and it puts a nice, wonderful hexagon grid that shows you where the power field will be. And you press it, and it instantly warps it in, but takes about a second to get set up. You can tell whether it's set up or not because it gives you this ring, inside of which you can put your photon cannon. Photon cannon, exactly like in the StarCraft 2 universe. Warp in a photon cannon that deals 103 damage per second, lasts for 11 seconds, must be placed within a pylon's power field, deactivates it if it doesn't have a pylon powering it. So you can whack it down, and it will shoot at nearby enemies. It doesn't have the biggest range, and as it says, it does 103 damage. Too many menus. And after 11 seconds, it disappears. There are talents that affect that specifically, and whether you can have more than one, and whether you can have, what their range is and what they do. But we'll come to those in a minute. His W is Warp Rift. It's got 2 charges. Charge cooldown is 6 seconds. Open an unstable Warp Rift at a location that takes 1.25 seconds to arm, which then slows nearby enemies by 20%, lasting 9 seconds. So basically, it's just a little kind of black hole. If Jamie goes near it, oh no, he's all slow. But
so slow.
The cool thing is that you can detonate it with your Q. Oh, piss. Awkward. And it does massive damage. Ooh.
I mean, like, it does a fair amount of damage. It pretty much clears a minion wave.
Yeah. So armed Warp Rift explode when they hit hit by disruption pulse, dealing 288 damage to nearby enemies. So it's kind of like an activatable stationary Li Ming orb. It does a lot of damage. And his Q, disruption pulse, fires a burst of energy forward, dealing 165 damage to all enemies it passes through. Hitting the center of a Warp Rift will cause it to explode, dealing additional damage. So as you can see, Jamie, come here. Stop moving.
No.
Come stand over here. You can't see my pings. Stand in between me and the pylon. So
I can't stop hitting
no,
you.
it's fine.
I'm sorry.
So as you can see, it travels through me into the pylon, which is cool. He's pretty fun. He is so reliant on his pylons because if I sit over here, I spam some abilities. You can see my mana goes down very quickly. Until I almost have nothing left after 3 Warp Rifts and 1 Pulse, and I have no native mana regen. But if I come inside the pylon, look at it go! It's insane.
It does go pretty quickly.
You basically never... It's 100 mana a second or something ridiculous. You never run out if you've got a pylon.
Yeah, you can't spend it that quick,
Yeah,
quickly
so
enough.
you've got a 14-second cooldown between pylons. You can have up to 2 active at any time. And as you can see, they grant vision around the area, so they're pretty good for scouting out areas. But basically, you are 100% dependent on your D. So it's difficult to be proactive with Probius. He's kind of more of a structural hold character, as opposed to like Gazlo, where you can kind of move in and throw turrets down as you go. Because you have to put a pylon down, then a turret. You can't be as proactive with him as a Gazlo as you can with a Gazlo.
Yeah, you can't go and fortify up an area as quickly, so you have to make sure you're the first person to an objective.
Yeah, especially now with
sure you're there really quickly.
With Gazlo's increased range on his stun rocket thing, as well now. I can't remember what it's called now. The rocket stun bomb, whatever thing. TNT charge.
Explodium charge.
Explodium charge, that's it. Now he's got the increased range on that as well, so he can poke from a little bit further away, whereas kind of Probius has to get pretty close to drop the W into the Q, and my timing there was awful.
That is worth bearing in mind, that it has got that 1.25 second boot up time.
So
I mean, it gives you a fairly good visual indicator.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. It's like if someone's in it when you drop it, if you drop it on top of someone, then they're not gonna get hit by if you follow up immediately because they have enough time to get out. But you can like zone off an area pretty well. It's a pretty big area as well, so like it covers an entire one of these choke points, which is pretty sweet. Let's set team levels to 10, and then we can talk about heroics as well.
Choose a talent. Talent? That seems generous.
Spoilers. So if you want to pick up Nullgate, Jamie.
If I pick up Nullgate, of course I have to actually pick everything on the way as well, don't I?
Yes. That's how the talents work. Yeah. Unfortunately. Let's throw some pylons down. Right, so what am I waiting for the cooldown? So Pylon Overcharge, his first ultimate, increases the size of the pylon power fields and allows them to attack enemies within it for 163 damage per second. Last 10 seconds. That's 163 damage per second at level 10. Pylons gain permanent shields equal to 50% of their health, so max health. So it makes the pylons more survivable, which is great because you need them to live. Actually, I don't know. Can you attack this until its shields come off? I don't know if the shields regenerate or not. You might want to queue it.
I think have you got damage turned
Oh,
off?
yes, I do. Don't I? Let me turn that back on.
Don't giving me futile tasks. It's still not doing anything.
Yeah, no, I
to
had
it.
damage taken to off as well.
Ah, right, fair enough. There we go.
So
So
take
it's
the
going
shields off.
down. So that's the shield off. And it doesn't seem to be regenning.
Oh wait.
Oh no, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
You're too eager.
I just want to kill stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it
the
does
energy,
regen.
so the shield does regenerate, which is pretty nice. So it means that if it's up and it gets auto attacked a few times or hit by minions, it won't necessarily die. You know, it has that element of survivability, which is again important because you need it to live. And the best bit about the R is that you might die for this, Jamie. Is that you can press R and it begins doing hideous amounts of damage. It fires really fast. The area is pretty big. It's just that's like Gazlo mode basically.
Yeah, I mean they hit just about as hard as a photon turret. I mean, like at level 10, what did you say it hit for at level 10?
136.
then
169. Sorry, and a photon turret's 136.
Yeah, so I mean slightly harder even than the photon turret.
Yeah.
But I mean comparable.
I mean, it is
damage.
only a 10-second period. It doesn't have any kind of stasis effects. It doesn't slow people. It doesn't do anything to their movement speed. So it's not hard to keep people in it, but it will keep people out of an area. So, for example, if you're doing boss and you've got a Probius set up around that and the enemy team tries to invade, you just smash R and they immediately begin taking loads of damage. Downside is that it doesn't prioritize heroes. So minions will get... It basically shoots whatever's closest. So minions will get hit. Summons get hit. Arthas is a pretty decent counter to this because with his army of the dead, they will shoot all the ghouls before they shoot the Arthas. Which does take away his health-giving effects, but I don't think he cares too much about that.
Yeah, I mean a new Barak as well with his beetles.
Yeah,
pretty much
exactly.
Nullifies that.
Well, maybe the beetles will die a lot quicker because there's only like a few of them at a time. The Army of the Dead's pretty potent because there's like 9 of them or something like that. Also Zagara, possibly, because of all the Gribbly she can fire out.
Yeah, Zebo with the zombie walls. I mean, there's lots of things.
There's
There's
a-
lots of good counters.
Yeah,
to
there's a
it.
fair amount of people that have a decent amount of stuff to throw into it, but it does help ward off that sort of invasion. However, something that might be slightly better at warding off an invasion, if you position it correctly, is the null gate. Jamie, do you want to throw one out and we'll show you? It uses vector targeting.
Yeah, which I
and-
vectored it poorly.
Which is the same mechanic used for Alarax W. Do you want to throw another one out?
Yeah, I'm just going to put it. So this is it, and it's going out in a straight line from me. So whilst it's a gate and looks like a wall, I mean, I would be more tempted to use it if we go up here, just slam it down in that choke point, but lengthways.
Yeah, definitely. This is probably the best option for chasing. If you can kind of angle it so that it covers. So you can't sneak past it even. So yeah, I mean the width of the area of effect is big enough that you can't sneak past through there. It does cover that entire area. So it's a really good zoning tool because people have to walk through that. If you've got anyone with any sort of targeted skill shot or AoE on your team, then it's pretty decent. The ranger effect on the pylons with the pylon overcharge, however, will come into play at 13, which we'll discuss when we go through the talents. But that's pretty much a basic overview of Probius. He is basically a really good area of denial character. He's certainly not built for chasing heroes down or anything like that. You can't go into a game with Probius and expect to be kind of like a proactive attacking ganker character. He's kind of like the Li Ming of Gazlo's. So he does a truckload of damage, but he's really squishy. He's kind of like Li Ming mixed with Gazlo mixed with Murky. Is probably the easiest way of explaining him.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
even his push isn't that brilliant. I mean, it's not like Gazlo turrets that you can keep up for a really
but
long
the
time.
thing is, with a WQ, he can clear a lane super fast.
Yeah.
Like you can't, like Gazlo, you can't leave him in lane alone, because you can take out a whole minion wave pretty much in one W into a Q, let alone two. He's really strong at defending areas. So as we say, like on sort of on Cursed Hollow, not amazingly so with the fights over the shrines, but things like Braxis, where you're holding 1 point for a long time. I played on the PTR earlier with Trixler and some other subs of his, and I was up against a Murky, which did make life slightly interesting, because obviously the Murky could keep throwing himself into my kind of limited cooldown abilities, and trying to hit someone with a bubble with a W and then into a Q is quite difficult. But I came out on top eventually. No. So yeah, things like Brax's holdout, the nukes on Warhead, similar to the shrines on Cursed Hollow. So useful, but perhaps not the strongest character. Although harder to gank him on that map because it's so big. So he might be able to get more work done solo. Dragonshire holding off a top shrine or on his own would be pretty decent. What other maps we got? Garden of Terror, I think he's just not right for. There's so much moving around with the different taking of the camps and things like that. I can't see him working particularly well on that map.
I think any of the gathering maps, I would probably not pick him. I mean,
Sky Temple is interesting because it's small enough so that you could set up and kind of defend a turn in and a lane at the same time.
Yeah,
to give your team
the Sky Temple or the Spider Butts.
Yeah, Team of the Spider Queen, yeah.
Yeah, so I thought you said Sky Temple.
No.
The Sky Temple one is an interesting one in so far as you kind of know where the things are going to be. I mean, they're on a set rotation.
Yeah.
For the first few. So I mean, you can get in early and get yourself set up.
But then he suffers a little bit from he's not as strong as a Gazlo once set up. If a Gazlo can get multiple turrets down, it's insanely good. Whereas Probius is a little bit more skill shot oriented. He's more about hitting the W's and Q's with the turrets kind of supporting him and helping him zone than he is about dropping loads of stuff and then his summons hitting for truckloads of damage. He can take camps pretty well because of you can stack the two W's. So his Q can set off both W's at once as it does travel through. Oh, that was the talent there that you saw. It doesn't normally fire out, sit and return. But yeah, I think he's a really nice little character. He's got decent mobility with he's got so we haven't talked about Worker Rush, his movement ability. Cooldown 40 seconds, activate to gain an additional 60% movement speed for 5 seconds. Taking damage ends this effect early. So it's kind of an escape. You can't really use it to engage because if they see you trying that, they'll just drop an auto attack on you and you'll kind of come to a slow standstill. Does move 10% faster by hovering over the ground by default, so he does have a little bit extra mobility, which is pretty nice. I like characters that have mobility baked in. So yeah, I kind of like him already. But yeah, let's set team levels to 20.
Choose a talent. Choose a talent.
And Jamie, your thoughts on level 1 talents?
So, we've already seen the Echo Pulse that Phil was sort of demonstrating there. I think you must have just sort of picked the top ones each time. Returns to Probius, dealing 75% damage on the return trip. I mean, it doesn't hit that hard anyway. It doesn't. It's not going to set off an additional combo with your Warp Rift. I mean, you can do it with one. You can hit the 2 Warp Rifts with one anyway.
I mean, one cool thing you can do is if you put one there and put one there, you can queue that way and then come back and get that one as well. So it will it returns to you, not just back to where you fired it from.
I mean, it's cool. I think I think it's probably not the strongest at level 1. Oops, I just picked one. However, there we go. Thank you. It's because I've got the control up, and then because I've got my mouse key
Yeah,
bound
no worries.
to numbers. So Echo Pulse. We talked about the Warp Resonance, detonate Warp Rift on heroes. It increases the damage if you hit 10, and after hitting 20 heroes, you get an extra charge. I mean, with the extra charge, you can hit all 3, which would be like really, 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 really good.
It's a little bit insane, yeah.
And it's not that big a quest to do. I mean, 10 heroes, 20 heroes over the course of the first few minutes of a game isn't a big deal. It's on a fairly short cooldown.
I think the problem with Warp Resonance is just the act of getting people to stay in the Warp Rift so you can hit them.
Yeah, I mean, slamming it down in a choke point, and people
you need to pick your moments, but yeah.
I mean, someone in lane can just walk out of it. I mean, like here, if I put this on you, you can walk out of it. By the time I can do that, I mean, I could have been maybe slightly quicker on the uptake.
Yeah,
there, but
even so, yeah.
You get the idea. My favorite here is gather minerals. So anyone familiar with StarCraft is we need more minerals. That's what I was shouting, isn't it, in the StarCraft? That there's StarCraft.
That there's StarCraft. Your man Executor is always shouting that.
So collect 70 minerals, and you get the 25% more damage on your turrets, and they can see over obstacles and reveal cloaked units, which is really, 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 really good. You get minerals by killing enemy heroes and minions, and they drop 1 mineral a piece. I mean, I think it's 1 for a hero and 1 for a minion. You also power up your turret's health as you go. I mean, powering up the turret's health isn't a massive thing. It's that finishing the quest.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it is quite nice to have, healthier turrets, because things like Murkies and whatnot can suicide into them.
Or even Jaina Blizzard. She's not even having to actively target them. Yeah. I mean, it is really nice. I mean, what's their health? At level 20, they're 208. And then you get them up to a maximum of 560, which is...
No, that's the damage they do. It doesn't tell you the health.
Oh, that's...
Yeah.
Drop the minerals. Increase the health of photon cannons by 8 up to 560. Am I reading that right?
Yeah. I don't know.
So is that at level 1 or...
So 1 mineral gives it 8 extra health. 7, yeah. So it gives you 560 extra health, but it doesn't tell you how much health they have to start off with, which is awkward.
But I mean, it's a fairly chunky. 560 health is a lot. I mean, for a summon. I mean, I mean, it's not a lot for a. I mean, 560, for example, here is a fifth of a Probius at level 20.
Yeah.
I like the gather minerals. That would be my go-to. It doesn't take that long to complete. I mean, what is it? 7 minions a wave, so 10 minion waves, and you're getting that.
Yeah.
I'm not falling for that. You're gonna kill me.
Yeah, it doesn't take that long, and plus they look pretty cool. Let me take it, and then I'll kill you.
Because we can actually see if you do get an increase from.
Look, little minion shard.
You just get the 1 from me,
yes.
do you?
You get 1 from everything, pretty much.
Yeah, it's not like the Butcher's Meat where you get 5 from a hero and 1 from a minion.
Yeah, it's just 1 from everything, but you get 1 from every minion. So, yeah, as Jamie says, it's basically 10 minion waves if you can get the whole lot. And, 25% more damage, see over obstacles and reveal nearby cloaked units. Godsend, like, ultimate super counter to, like, Valera, if you can keep your turrets up. Because it not only will unstealth her, but also shoot her in the face. So it's pretty good. I think so.
Does it unstealth or does it reveal? I mean, like, so when Valera walks into that, she'll still be able to do her stealth abilities, but you'll be able to see her. Do you know, like with tracer rounds?
But will it shoot her if it can see her?
Yeah, it should shoot her when you can see her, which will then reveal her. Yeah. I know what you mean.
So I think
it's
its
just
sight range is like its shooting range. If that makes sense.
yes, yeah. Being able to see, like for example, here, the areas where the tributes spawn tend to have a lot of obstacles around
Yeah.
them, but just being able to shoot. I mean, you can pop them up at the back, still be able to shoot in to cover um the tribute,
I
but
don't
they're
know.
not going to be able to just
Yeah.
come in.
So some of them, yeah, some of them you might have some issues. Just because, as I say, the range isn't massive. But yeah, it's pretty good. I think it's Warp Resonance is basically your like mage talent, and then Gather Minerals is your builder talent. So it depends on what you're going to go for. I think Gather Minerals is probably the easier one to go for. And it's probably got the most utility. Vision is very underrated. And being able to deal more damage. Yeah, granted, you're going to be dealing stupid amounts of damage with Warp Rift, but having played some games against real people, it can be difficult to hit Warp Rifts properly against actual people that can just walk away from them. Some of the more mobile heroes out there, things like Tracer, Li Ming, all those sorts of characters will be out of there before you can even say, oh. So I think Gather Minerals is probably the more consistent talent to go for, a 1.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you there.
I see why it's your favorite.
I would agree with.
Get off my pylon.
No, it's my pylons. Go away. Kill your pylons. This is awkward. Can I blow up your warp rift?
No, Warp Rifts thankfully cannot be destroyed. They're not like pufferfish.
Yeah. So level 4 then?
Yeah. So level 4 I think is pretty cut and dry. Especially if you've gone for the level 1 talent, Gather Minerals. Photon Barrier, 30 spell armor, 30% reduced ability damage. It's gonna be good in almost every situation, no matter who you're facing. Even if the team is built of auto attackers, even people like Vala and Greymane will do some damage with abilities, and it just helps keep you that much a little bit more alive. Considering you do have less health than a Chromie at level 20. This is how I work out everything. If some people work in Murkies, I work in Chromies, because at least Chromie has a proper death timer. Turbocharged. Worker Rush grants an additional 20% passive movement speed while in a power field, and its cooldown is reduced by 20 seconds. I like it, but it depends.
Like you have to be in the power field. I mean, it would be amazing if you could just do it.
You have to spend a lot of time in power fields anyway, and it does mean you can kite people through with your pylon overcharge and your increased pylon damage and visibility from Gather Minerals. It also means that you can get around and set up warp rifts that little bit easier. Move around a little bit more, but it's not. I don't know. It's interesting. I think it would require a bit of play for if you've got playing against a team that has low mobility already, then it might just help push that advantage that you've got with the increased movement speed. Again, like people like Greymane, Arthas, people like that, where you can take advantage of your faster movement speed to stay away from their damage areas with the the auto attacks and the aura of frost and things like that. Shield capacitor.
This is one I wanted to actually try out. So Probius gains shields equal to 10% of his maximum health, which is pretty good. I mean, 10% of nothing is still nothing, however.
Yeah.
Shields regenerate quickly as long as he hasn't taken damage recently. So I was going to pick this up, and you can see I've got my little shield. Now, can you give me some damage, please?
See, your shield is 280 roughly, 274, 287 even. My Q does 400.
So it was about 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I was counting it.
Okay, yeah.
So quickly, it means they regenerate. Oh, sorry, I juked it. Right, I'm going to stand in this, and then we'll count it.
3, 4, 5. Yeah.
There we go.
5. And annoyingly, it doesn't just pop back on. It regenerates, so it comes back up. So if someone hits you just after the 5 seconds, then you'll have 2 shields. Yeah, but let me hit you, and then as soon as it starts generating, I'll try and auto attack you. Yeah, so it stops it generating, and how much shields have you got at the moment?
I've got.
You missed it.
It's
You missed the ability. You missed
yeah.
the time. But yeah, so I don't think it's strong enough. Certainly 10% is far too low a number for it to be useful. It's like
It needs to be pushing
it's
30%.
it's an auto attack and a half. You know, it's basically a spell shield for the Q every 5 seconds if you let it regenerate.
Yeah, I mean, I would if you want a spell shield, just
Pick up the photon barrier.
yeah, just pick up photon barrier.
Because if
Yeah.
if I pick that up, if you hit me with the Q, how much did I hit me for?
So let's have a look again. Well, there's so many scaries. I'm trying not to get killed by your photon turret.
Yeah. Just wait a second. It's not up at the moment.
Yeah.
I'll put it as far away as I can from you.
Yeah, put it back,
Yes,
and then I'll be able to hit.
All right. Hit me,
There we
baby.
go. So that 293.
So 293, and I'm hitting you for 418. So already, I'm almost saving as much damage as I would do with the shield. But that's going to save 30% off everything. So with the WQ combo, Leaming Orbs and things, Chromie stuff, 30% off all of that, which you almost need, if you're going to be playing this character because he's so squishy. I think Turbocharged will help his survivability, but I think Photon Barrier is the easier choice to go with. If you see something coming, you press E, you drop the turret in, and then you get it as soon as it's set up for 11 seconds, which is a not unreasonable amount of time to have a 30% damage reduction. I
mean, it's a 30% ability damage reduction for 11 seconds.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. So I think Photon Barrier here, and then, obviously we're only going to get turrets for longer, and more healthy turrets as we go along with the Gathering Minerals quest. So at 7...
we've got particle accelerator, so increase damage for each target hit. So 10%. This is on your queue, by the way. 10% more damage for each enemy or warp rift hit, up to 40%. So I mean, you hit 2 enemies and 2 warp rifts, and you're getting a 40% increase on that damage. I mean, it's still 40% of not very much. But I mean, it's not bad. This would be, again, I would probably go for this maybe for your mage build. But then I don't know. I don't think it's that strong.
Can you stop moving away?
Oh, sorry. I don't want to die. It's scary.
You don't have to be in the warp rift, just near it.
Okay, there we go. Can you get me?
I don't know. Oh, I didn't actually pick it. that would
I find that does.
Do you want to go sippy cup, and then I'll try again.
It's all right. Yeah.
We're professional testers.
Yeah. We're testing these things so you don't have to.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Watch out! You're gonna get hit by this. No, come back a little bit. No, you're gonna get hit.
That should be
you're gonna get hit by it. The circle, man.
Yeah, I mean, I should have enough health to survive it.
This is
I've got
this
the
last night all
shield
over again. 483. Yeah.
Oh goodness, that's done.
Yeah.
I'm gonna recall.
So yeah, it's a decent amount of damage, especially like if you're going to be hitting people in warp rifts anyway. Chances are, because it goes through things, it will hit you. It will hit the target as well. So that's that little bit more damage. I don't know whether it's worth it.
I think
compared to the other options, but
I mean, if you're going the mage build, I mean, to sort of air quotes that one. He's by no stretch of the imagination as traditional mage, but if you're going for ability damage build, the Rift Shock is quite nice.
Yeah, it's difficult. Pardon me, by the way. It's difficult because the Rift Shock hitting an enemy hero with Warp Rift Explosion increases Proteus' damage against them by 20% for 10 seconds.
I mean, does that include your turret damage? I would assume it does.
I don't know. Let's find out. Come here.
Come here and get hit by
Yeah.
stuff.
So let me put this down. It's going to shoot you. So it's 225, 225. You might want to move away. 225, 225. And then, have you got another sippy cup, or do you need to?
I've got one in 5 seconds.
I don't want to kill you yet.
I mean, a part of you does.
Oh yeah, always.
Let's let this tick over.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already spoken. I mean, whilst we're letting that to regenerate, we've already spoken about how difficult it is to land those rift shocks, those warp rifts. Sorry. So there we go.
Yeah, so it does count for the turret damage as well. That's going up. That's gone up from 223 to 270. So that's a bit better. You know, again, if you can get set up, you can get the warp rifts in the way. Perhaps you've got, you know, your stack up here for 3 to go off. You've completed your warp resonance quest, so you've got them all over the place. I could see that working. I think.
I mean, it does. It will stack quite nicely. I mean, with the gather minerals, that 25% increased damage.
Yeah, on the turret as well. Yeah, I think. Yeah, actually, maybe rift shock. Yeah. And then tower defense is the last one, which is a fairly standard hit cooldown reduction, but it's the photon cannon damages an enemy hero. Its cooldown is reduced by 1.25 seconds. The cooldown is by default 15 seconds, so let me maths hard with my calculator. So 18 3/4 shots are required to get the full cooldown reduction. It doesn't fire particularly fast. However, we did find that it does stack with like 2 turrets do stack, so it's possible to get 2 turrets up if you have one shooting a target. Once you've got 2 turrets up, it becomes easier to get another one because both of them provide 1.25 second cooldown reduction. So it is possible, but it requires your enemy to kind of hang around within the range of the turret, and as we've seen, the turret range isn't particularly massive. If you come in a bit, I'll put it down and we'll see.
Yeah.
So it's shooting you there. Do you want to move away? So it's about here. About this sort of distance.
Yeah. Sort of annoyingly,
Which isn't huge.
you do get the range when you put it down. I mean, it's not massively smaller than your pylon radius. I mean, I think it would be 1 range increment.
Yeah. Yeah. It's about that.
When you sort of hover them over. Now, I mean, if I sippy again, we'll try and show once I've got this up. We'll show how you can get the 2 up. I mean, it does rely on someone standing and getting shot by them.
Yeah. So you can see the cooldown goes down pretty quickly.
And then there's our second one.
As you can see down here, it's going down. But it never lasts long enough to get a third one up at the same time. But you can replace the first one almost immediately. Which is pretty nice. It's kind of like you feel a bit more like Gazlo.
I mean, I like it not necessarily just to get 2 turrets up, but I mean to get your another turret up quickly.
Yeah.
Because if they burst it down, you'll still probably get 2 or 3 shots out of it, giving you probably meaning that you'll still that cooldown will be reduced. I like it. I mean, I would pick it up.
I think it's good. Like, seeing as we've already built into turrets so far, it would make sense almost to be able to get turrets out more often. I mean, that means more 30% ability damage reduction and more 25% extra damage turrets with more cloaking reveal and more seeing over obstacles. So I think it makes sense. I think if you're going to go a W build, if you're going to pick up Warp Resonance at 1, then you want to pick up Rift Shock just to really maximize that extra bonus damage that you're going to be going for and maximize the impact of all 3 of those charges that you'll get. But let's pick up Tower Defense to go with. Ultimates.
I mean, with this build, I mean, we've already discussed them a little bit, but with this build, I would probably go Pylon Overcharge.
Yeah, I would go Pylon Overcharge. I think Nullgate could be good in the right situation, though, because if you want...
It keeps people in your turret.
Yeah, it keeps people in turret range. Like, if you set up over here, for example, and we put a turret here, if you come in through that choke point, obviously,
Oh, no.
obviously
I'm
you
getting
need. Obviously, once you get your minerals collected, then it will see over this bit here. So
Yeah,
they'll
I
be
mean,
shooting them on the way in.
yeah, you can't finish quests
No,
on
can't finish quests in
Sandbox,
Sandbox, unfortunately. But it does mean that you can hold that choke point pretty well, and it does mean that it'll be shooting over the wall to get you your next turret quicker, to put it down near the choke point again. You'll be able to use slow them as they come in and out of this choke point. Really, with Nullgate in that sort of situation, you want to hit them as they're coming in rather than put it down before, so they're already in it when they are trying to move around to try and escape. It kind of depends on which map you're on. I mean, a lot of the talents are always fluid. I never think that there's one particular build to go for, and it's always dependent on the map and against the opponents that you're playing against. For example, like there's no point taking the well, there's not no point, but there's less point taking spell armor if they don't have any mages at all. If they're all auto attack, then you might as well go for the turbocharge to be able to get out of dodge quicker. With the ultimates, like if you're on Cursed Hollow, this has got loads of little nooks and crannies and choke points that you can drop the null gate in. The pylon overcharge, I think, is better on something like Sky Temple, where you're having
where
to
it's
sit on a
more
point for a
open,
longer
yeah.
period of time, and it's more open, so you can put the pylons around that point. They won't be able to get Jane or Blizzarded down in one go. So yeah, I think they're both really viable. This is the first time I think we've had a hero where we've thought, yeah, they're both actually pretty even. It definitely depends on your playstyle, what your team's playstyle is, and what the enemy heroes are. Like if they've got a very divey comp, then Nullgate can really ruin their day because they won't be able to get in or out. But similarly, Pylon Overcharge can ruin their day because they'll dive in and they'll suddenly be getting shot by millions of things.
I mean, I think Nullgate is probably edging towards my not least favorite, but less go-to, simply because it's only lasts for 4 seconds. I mean, it's not that long.
I
mean, how
will
long's the
I will
task
say
about force all up?
Nullgate is easier to use in a pinch because Pylon Overcharge, first of all, requires you to have pylons. Really, to get maximum value, you want to have both pylons out. That's a good 14 seconds of arrival, and they can walk away from it. Nullgate stops them walking away from it. So
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say one interesting thing to test. Does weaponizing your pylons reduce your cooldown with the tower defense?
I would immediately say no because it says photon cannon damages.
That's okay then.
Specifically labels it. So I think Pylon Overcharge is the cooler one, easily. And it's probably going to be my go-to it's probably going to be my go-to in quick match and things like that. And possibly if we ever take it to Team League, which we might not because he's so squishy.
I mean, realistically, even you can still get 2 pylons in a turret up before you pop that without even trying. And that's effectively 3 turrets.
The thing is, it's the cooldown on the warp-in pylon. If you can get someone, you put one down, and then they run out of range of the turret, the pylon might still hit them, but the turret might not. They can reposition around it. It's not as certain as Nullgate's massive slow. If you've got other people that can do a wombo combo, like you've got a built-in like Nullgate into Mosh Pit, say,
I mean, like doing that. I mean, that's chunking. There's not much to chunk, but I mean, you can get at least 3 structures up to do that. It would take you 14 seconds to get 3 structures up.
But in 14 seconds, they can be down the other end of the lane.
Oh yeah.
If they're smart, which obviously not every player is, but if they are smart and they see you setting up and you have pylon overcharge, they'll just disengage and they'll move away from your pylons, and then you'll be stuck chasing, which Probius is shit at.
I mean, what I like it for in particular is one, defending objectives. I mean, if you can get that set up on a channel point or something like that. Or alternatively, if you're making maybe a slightly risky boss play, you can set those up a little
definitely.
bit further away.
No, as we say, if you're defending a point for a while and you can get your pylons set up and stay near them, and they have to come to you for whatever objective it is, then great. I think it's definitely the go-to. But I think Nullgate is better on those sorts of maps where it's going to be a bit more guerrilla warfare. It's a bit more like Cursed Hollow, where you're fighting in and out of these nooks and crannies. There's flanking opportunities and things like that. And if you can see someone, you can lock them down with Nullgate and then give your team the opportunity to follow up on that slow with combos of their own. It's very much the enabler versus the kind of damage dealer. And sometimes that's what you want.
Right, I'm just going to try something. I'm going to recall. If you don't shoot my pylons briefly, I mean, I just want to see. Oh, you horrible person! Because I mean, realistically, I could be miles away from these pylons. I mean, you probably never would be, but is that shooting you?
Yeah.
They are. Yeah, because I'm back. I mean, like I've recalled. I mean, that's quite cool. You can set them up in a line, and people sort of have to run in and out through them. I like both ultimates. But
I do like them.
Is particularly, as you say, they're very situational, very, very situational.
And I like the fact that neither of them seem particularly OP. I mean, the pylons do a lot of damage, but it's not ridiculously bad. But like I think it depends on your team composition. Like, if you need to enable someone else to do the damage, like you've got someone who can hit harder than you can, then take Nullgate. If your team are enabling you to do the damage and you're the main kind of primary damage dealer, which I don't know why you would be, but you're like the only magey character on the team and they're trying to enable you, then take the pylons and they can take the crowd control. Mm-hmm. Like, if you've got an ETC, you could Nullgate so they could set up the mosh. But it's more likely that you'll want to mosh within range of your pylons and then just burst the whole team down inside of that mosh pit. So I think they've done a really good job of creating two viable heroics.
They look pretty cool next to each other there as well, don't they?
So 13. 13's really cut and dry. So you've got aggressive matrix power fields give attack damage. Pylon fields grant allied heroes 20% increased attack damage. Power overflowing. Pylon's power field grants allied heroes 10% increased spell power and 2 mana per second. So no longer is Mouth the only hero that can give mana back with his D. Now Probius can with his D.
D.
Yeah, with his D. Yeah. For some reason I thought it was on different level.
I was thinking there as well. I was like, what button does he use?
Shield battery. Pylon's power field grants allied heroes 74 shields per second up to 296. Shields persist for 4 seconds after exiting a pylon power field. Now, the numbers on this seem very small, but they do keep coming back, so it's a constant damage mitigation effect. It's about the same as a Tranquility in terms of healing per second, I think. Mm-hmm. Maybe a little bit under, but it's constant. So you're always getting it. As long as there are pylons up, you're getting those shields. And it only takes 4 seconds to get up to 296. So every 4 seconds, you're mitigating almost 300 damage at level 23. Which I don't think is that bad.
No, not at all. I think I mean, I've tried it out in a versus AI, and I mean, it was allowed you to push a 4.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you take that over the extra damage. Like the same with Oriel's crown. Like, imagine an Oriel and a Probius stacking spell power onto like a Chromie or a Li Ming, or even a Kale, or even any of the mages. They would be powerhouses.
Yeah,
and plus you can leave a pylon in a place, as we've shown. So like Brax's holdout, Gul'dan soloing bottom or top, leave a pylon with him and give him a constant 2 mana per second and 10% spell power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or even really good value.
Because Chromie's range is ridiculous. You can leave this miles away from not miles away from the fight, but Chromie's just got a little buff.
Yeah, and if they decide to push into her and start going for the gank, you can hit R if you've taken pylon overpower and help her defend. Help drive off the potential gank with shit tons of laser damage. Mm-hmm. So I think all of these are viable. I think perhaps the extra attack damage and extra spell power good. Attack damage is going to be cray on Battlefield of Eternity with a Greymane or a Vala or any of those auto attack heroes. Drop that down, extra 20%, you're going to win the race. So very map dependent, but I think either of the two damaging, because really damage is what wins fights. You might stay alive a bit more, but 20% damage is, if you're in a quick match with Probius and one of you picks the shield talent and one of you picks the damage talent, the extra 20% damage is probably going to overwrite by far the shields that are being granted by the team. However, the shields do give really good poke resistance. If the enemy team is playing a very auto-attacky team with a Reina and a Vala and people like that, and they're kind of coming in and out, stutter stepping in, dropping damage, running away, dropping damage, running away, and you've picked up an Oriole as your healer, who's really bad at dealing with poke damage because your team can never get in to drop damage on people, pick up the shield battery, and then you can provide that poke resistance to your allies without sacrificing too much by having to pick up a second healer to go with the Oriole, say. So it allows you to pick up a Probius kind of late in the draft once they've gone auto-attack heavy and you've picked an Oriole early, which, some would say would be a mistake, but you can cover for people in Hero League, and it lets you kind of have that little bit of utility and just kind of keep your team alive that little bit more. So I can see it has its place, but I'm always a fan of more damage.
Yeah, hitting stuff harder is always
Hitting
good.
stuff harder
Hit
is
it
always-
harder.
And
kill it
as
quicker.
we say, the ability to drop it in an area, kind of like Lucio's boombox, but permanent. Brax's holdout, as we say, you drop one at the top point, one at the bottom point, Dragon Shrine, one at the bottom, one at the top, giving those constant buffs to your team wherever they are. Both if you're fighting at both shrines, then you or both points, both sides have that buff to give you that edge in those team fights.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, you get a nice little icon as well
Yeah.
for your pylons, so you can know when they're up. I mean, it's not like a lot of summons where they're just like a piddly little blue dot like a minion. I mean, you can see when it goes down, and you can go in and check it,
Yeah.
and go and replace it when it dies or whatever. I mean, I think all of
see down
13
here.
are good. The first two I would pick depending on my team.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had a Leeming and a Chromie, I'd take Bell Power. If I had an Illidan and a Butcher, I would take attack damage.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
So I'm gonna go because I usually play with you and you like to play a lot of mages. You play a lot of Li Ming. I'm gonna go spell power because I'm pretending I'm playing with you, but yeah, I'm not. You're on the enemy team.
That's frequently what you do anyway, Jamie. Haha.
Yeah.
And it does actually give you a nice little aura underneath. I wonder what the other ones look like. Yeah,
That seems
Did you go spell power? Did you?
I went spell power as well.
I don't seem to get an aura.
I just reset talents. So
Give me my aura back.
if you go attack damage, I'll go shields. We can see what they're
Yeah,
like.
so let's have a look. Particle. So I'm just keeping track of the build so far. So are you going?
So I've
are
gone
you going-
shields. So if you go attack damage, the top one,
Okay.
aggressive matrix. So you get a nice little yellow aura for attack damage. It's a purple one as you just saw for spell damage, and a little blue one for shields. So you can instantly see, your team can see, and your enemies can see which one you've gone for, which is quite nice. Again, shield battery, I can kind of see it being useful in that kind of split pylon scenario where you've perhaps, giving that little bit extra stamina to each team, each kind of part of your team. But yeah, I think they're all viable because they're all giving you something. Which you wouldn't ordinarily have. So, 16. This is where shit gets a bit weird.
Yeah, I mean it's quite late in the game to have a single.
Yeah,
I mean, usually you'll get one at 4,
and
maybe one at 13.
I personally don't think any of them are that great. 2 of them I think are kind of trash. One of them is the best one, but the other one's useful in certain situations. So, Quantum Entanglement, Warp Rift's slow lingers. Enemies continue to be slowed for 3.5 seconds after their last contact with a Warp Rift. That means once they're out, they will still be slowed. Useful for your team, less useful for you because they're already out of the Warp Rift, so you can't hit them with it.
See, I like this one. I mean, I'm going to maybe sort of hedge my bets early on this, but this is the one that I would actually go for with our turret build because it keeps them slowed in your turrets for longer.
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely see its uses, especially if you've gone, as you say, with Pylon Overcharge and the turret build early on. Which is why I think it's the one that's definitely kind of way out in front in terms of choice. Gravity Well increases Warp Rift slow in center. Enemies are slowed more than the closer they are to the center of the Warp Rift, up to a maximum slow of 60%. Massive slow. No idea why it would ever apply to anyone.
I mean, they're already moving before the Warp Rift's on.
Oh no, look! Oh, and now you're
Oh.
slowed for 60%, and then you're away.
I mean, it's not even that much, really.
Look.
Like, in the center. Because the center is really small.
It's nothing. Oh, wait,
I mean, you can
I didn't
actually
take
see...
it. There we go. I did it
All
again.
right. Right, so...
Oh, you're slow.
Actually, that is quite a big slow.
That is
but-
quite a big slow. It will make it... Maybe it's not as bad as I thought. It kind of means if you manage to drop it on someone, then you're definitely going to hit them with the Q blast.
I mean, try that again, because I don't think it does. If you drop it on me, I'm already out.
I wasn't aiming to shoot it because I didn't know what you were aiming for, but...
Yeah.
Let me try it again. Just keep moving in a straight line and we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll stand still, drop it on me, and I'll use... This is my reaction times. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, you still got out, so...
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't guarantee that hit, which, I mean, if it was like an 80%, so it maybe would. I don't think it's...
I don't think the area is big enough, and I don't think the slow is big enough. I think it's just undertuned. I think it could be really useful for helping kind of reduce the reaction time element of the Warp Rift, but I think it would be better served to have like a talent here which was like Warp Rift like activation cooldown is reduced, but so is its damage.
So you can stack those W's into Qs,
Yeah.
more easily, but it nerfs your damage.
Yeah.
Or,
Something like that. Because I really like on other characters like Li Ming with her fireflies and stuff like that, where it's something where it's changing slightly how the ability works, but at a cost. Something they did really well with Alarak, sort of.
I mean, Li Ming has a lot of those as well.
Yeah, she's got
Actually,
got a couple.
Blast cannon and things
Yeah,
like that. I think it's a bit poo.
Yeah.
Gravity well. Repulsor.
Yeah, repulsor is enemies are knocked away from warp rift explosions. They're knocked away from the center. So if I put one behind Jamie,
Sorry.
don't move. Wait, where are you going, you spoon? Just stand still. There we go. If I hit it, then it knocks him into me and my team. If I put it somewhere else, it's basically like Horrify. It'll knock him in the direction that he is away from the center. Again, not that useful. You're probably going to fuck up the positioning, or the person will move and it will knock them in a direction they don't want to go, either into a teammate or away from your turrets or away from their skill shots. It's kind of like what's the other thing? Condemn kind of sometimes fucks it. I remember shouting at you quite a lot. Or ETC's W,
knockback.
ETC's W, which is forever fucking up like chromie combos and things like that.
I'm not there to enable your combos. I'm there to tank for the team.
So I just can't see Repulsor getting played. It's too unreliable, especially with the 1.5 second or 1.25 second to arm time. It's not like you can really kind of use it with any sort of skill. I'm happy to be proved wrong, but I think it's just a bit trash, to be honest. It's filler content.
Yeah.
Interference, Warp Rift explosions reduce enemy spell power. So enemies who are hit by Warp Rift detonations have their spell power reduced by 35% for 3 seconds. Now this is where things get a bit weird in that I can see it being really useful in some situations. For example, if we're talking about Gul'dan and his solo laning ability, later in the game, it means that you will be able to go up against him, say solo lane on Abraxas, because you've got the 30% reduction from the tower talent at 4, and then you can pick up another 35% if you hit him with a Warp Rift. Granted, hitting him with a Warp Rift is not guaranteed, but if you did, that's 65% damage reduction. However, it's really late, like super late.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point. I mean, early game, that would be really good. At level 4, this talent tier would be quite good. But why are you solo laning it so late in the game at level 16? I mean, you will see it. I mean, and
And
you will
it's
just
kind
send someone to
like I
soak a
can
lane
kind of
and
see
things,
it being
but
like variant demoralizing shout at 20, where you're in a big mass team fight. It's very confusing. You drop a warp rift, suddenly they're doing less damage, and your team can steamroller them. But again, it's quite hard to hit people with warp rift reliably. You might not hit the right person. I know certainly in a game I was playing earlier, there was a Cho'Gall, and he was ramming through our team with Gal, and I tried to hit him with the warp rift, but I was just slightly too slow with getting the Q off, or I was moving, so I missed the Q skill. I can't remember exactly what happened, but something, it didn't go off, and I missed it, and then he killed us all. It's so unreliable compared to just dropping a W and having them be slowed for 3.5 seconds by 20%. If you want to save your team, then give them that maneuverability, give that option to escape, especially since you can zone with it, and it means that you can zone more effectively, because it's not just they've got to get through it, and then for 3.5 seconds out the other side.
I mean, it's worth bearing in mind that for both the slow talents, but especially the first one, the quantum entanglement, you don't need to blow it up.
Yeah.
You might not even want to blow it up. It might be that slow is actually more useful for you than doing a load of damage.
And also, it's worth noticing that the charge cooldown is 6 seconds. The warp rift lasts 9 seconds, so you can have 3 up, kind of overlapping for a few seconds. So really good area of denial. And I think adding in that slow that lingers is probably the best choice. I think once we've practiced with him more and we've gotten up to the point where warp rift explosions are easier to hit.
You can do that, for example.
You're cheating. Then perhaps go for the spell power reduction. If they've got mage heavy and they've got less maneuverability, then go interference. But the quantum entanglement is such a good kind of baseline ability just to give you that more mobility, because the 20%, that's the equivalent to the slow and reverse amp with Lucio. It's also equivalent to the speed boost that Lucio gives to the team by standard, so you can nullify a team's ability to engage with Lucio without amp it up just by putting some W's down. So pretty sick, I think. Quantum entanglement. I think this tier is probably going to see the most work in the 2-week balance patch after he comes out, just to tweak Gravity Well and Repulsor to give them a bit more oomph.
Some use.
Yeah, well, pretty much, yeah.
I mean, Repulsor, as you say, I'm sure there are players out there who are infinitely better than us that are like, oh my god, Repulsor's amazing. I can't believe these noobs can't see the value.
I honestly don't think anyone in the world is saying that.
But I'm sure people maybe will see a use for it that we're not, but I just don't see the point of it. I would go here, Quantum Entanglement, best of a bad bunch, almost.
And 20, this is where the fun begins. So if you've gone for Pylon Overcharge, then you get Construct Additional Pylons. Classic. Probius can now have up to 3 active pylons and increase the damage of Pylon Overcharge by 25%. So they're going to go from 282 damage to around 25%. Carry the 1. So it's about 350 damage per second from 3 pylons. Which is insane. So that's pretty good. Again, it will hit minions, it will hit summons, it will hit everyone except the person you want it to. But again, if you catch them in a choke point, you've got some other soft CC, you can really punish a team that engages hard with this. You can really, really defend a point with these, because these don't ever run out. They just sit there. Say you like bottom shrine on Sky Temple, you put them on the far edges, so they're not having to engage through them, but they're just sat there within range of the bushes and the capture point. You hang back a bit, they engage in hard, the team falls back, and you just press R and it goes.
That's the exact thing you will do.
And it's really that is the noise you will make when you press the R. But it means they can't engage into that space at all, because they will get shredded, because obviously it's not just the pylons, it's everything else on top of the pylons, so all the other heroes that are with your team. So yeah, again, must pick, I think, if you've gone additional pylons. Gatekeeper is pretty interesting. And let me just reset my talents.
A talent.
No gate. So Gatekeeper, infinite duration while in pylon power. So null gate lasts indefinitely if either end is within a power field. Only one null gate may be active at a time. So this is the power field, obviously, that we talked about before, this circle here. And if we draw, one end of it is inside, and you can see it's a little bit slightly more energized. And it will stay there forever, I think.
Oh, I'm so slowed. I mean, like, I'm walking through this here, and I mean... Oh, no! You did a combo to me! But, I mean, like, if someone is forced to walk the length of that, it's going to take a fair chunk of their health.
Yeah, and it doesn't go. It never leaves. So, again, really solid zoning capability. But better, like I could really see, like, a Gazlo and a Probius working really well together with his Gazlo's new abilities. Because again, if you, on some maps you just make it impossible to engage. It's like slowing sands on Chromie, but it can cover a bigger area. So you can completely wall off access to a shrine or a what's it? One of these things.
A tribute.
Tribute, yeah. You know, you put a pylon there, and then you just run. Let's try run the gate like that. Where are you, Jamie?
I'm here. Hello.
Yeah. So you can just completely block that off, and then you can sit over here, and you can bomb them into oblivion in this choke point. You can put those there. You can put your turret there. You know, how are they gonna?
This is such a scary place to be.
How are they gonna get in? How are they gonna get in, Jamie? Tell me how they're gonna get in.
What's more worrying is how am I supposed to get out? But YOLO.
Yeah.
I got a recall because I've got no health.
Yeah, no
but
worries.
yeah, the you can build a nice little fort for yourself even without taking that pylon, the shooty pylons. I can't remember the name of it now. Pylon overcharge, not shooty pylons.
I really wish it was called shooty pylons. That would be the best alt name ever. Yeah, definitely. It's about enabling their team versus the team enabling you. If they have the slows, if you've got a Gazul with skeletal mages, if you've got a Chromie with slowing sands, or they're taking a Chromie out of Probius, you're asking for trouble. Hi, Nova and Valera say hi.
Yeah, I mean Valera doesn't. Nova and Valera don't say hi once you finish. Once
you finish your quest,
minerals.
yeah, if you take it at one. But even then,
but I mean they'll still kill you.
They'll still kill Chromie because Chromie won't stand in the fucking thing, will she? Fucking Chromies.
But I know that's the point. I mean, you're pretty vulnerable to counter.
But you know, if your team have the area of denial, crowd control, even a zombie wall. Putting that down, blocking off escapes, and you can hit the R and shred the team, keep them in that area, then it's fantastic. Otherwise, null gate is pretty good just for stopping them getting to you. You know, like on someone like Cursed Hollow, it's really important to get the tribute. It doesn't necessarily matter about holding the area for a long time, it's just long enough to get the tribute. So if you can block off their engagement options and split their team in half, you know, if you put it across here instead or across here, then they can't, you know, one side of the team has to come through here, the other team has to come through here. If they try to go through the wall, then they're screwed. Actually, they can't come through there, it's around there or whatever. It's really, really good zoning tool, and it really kind of disrupts the team, similar to how slowing sands does.
Plus, it doesn't do an insignificant amount of
damage.
damage.
I think, yeah, definitely, and I think it does better. It's okay at 10, but it's insanely good at 20 if you can put down a pylon in a location where they can't get line of sight to it, or they just can't hit it with whatever heroes they've got. The range isn't long enough. You know, because you can put it lengthways. Let's go back up here. Let's put a pylon. So say this pylon wasn't here, you could put it. I might have just missed with that end. But
yeah, I mean, I get the idea.
You can kind of put it, or you can put it diagonally, or yeah. Let me reset cooldowns. you know, you put it like that, and then you can put your turret that side of it, so it can shoot them off. And then I'm just channeling this, and
No, stop channeling that, you bad man.
yeah, and also
But I mean, like, I've stopped you,
Yeah.
but I'm almost dead to do
and
it.
also, you know, like because it does damage, you could put it on top of an objective, and they can't channel it unless it's before they kill the pylon. So again, it can sort of have some stalling ability. I don't know. I just think it's at 20, it becomes a really insanely powerful walling off tool. More so, I think, than the additional pylon damage and the additional pylon do, because that only lasts 10 seconds still.
Talent. That seems just.
So,
Let's have a look.
and then the other two. Now, this is where things get pretty fun. So, if you take Probius loop, Probius loop, I'll take shoot 'em up, and we can kind of show them off a bit.
Cool.
If you come back to middle, that's where I am.
So I'm taking Probius
Yeah.
loop. So that's the shoot 'em up.
So-
So
so-
it's not
so-
shooty turrets, but it's
So
close.
shoot 'em up. Hitting a warp rift splits disruption pulse into several additional pulses. Hitting a warp rift with disruption pulse causes 4 additional pulses that deal 50% damage to be fired from the impact location in different directions. They do not benefit from echo pulse or particle accelerators, so they don't get the return and they don't get the increased damage per target hit. So they're untalented. But if we put 2 here, it can chain the explosion, which is pretty sick.
It's pretty cool.
I think it's pretty
mean,
cool. Like it'll be great again if you've got a mosh pit or something, you know, else like anything which keeps the enemy team in a point. You can kind of shotgun. It doesn't go out in a very predictable spread. I'd prefer it if it was more kind of like Greymane's cocktail. So if I hit it, if I hit it from this side, they all went like to the other side of it rather than some of them going sideways, because you know, for the more concerted burst damage or like the chase damage. But it does mean that
I mean, you know where they're going to go. I mean, for where you hit it, they hit it, and there's what is there 4? One goes.
There's 5. So one goes forwards, then 2. They go 45 degrees and then 90 degrees.
Yeah.
So you can see where they're going to go. So you can do sort of John Virgo trick shots, and I expect to see some what the fuck moments videos of people hitting some insane trick shots into other warp rifts to kill people as they run away.
Yeah. Dram's just saying that shoot 'em up looks fancy AF. Lol. I mean, I assume that's kid talk for as fuck.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's kind of cool. Again, like in a mosh pit, you're just gonna be like, I'm gonna put this here and then fire it into that, and it's gonna hit everyone in the mosh. But it's fairly unreliable. Now, Probius loop though. Probius loop. Hit me, baby. Oh no!
Oh, I have to pick the talent. I did pick the talent.
Hits 2 or more enemy heroes.
Or we can't do it.
Sad face.
I mean, but yeah, I mean, you get the idea. My issue with Probius loop is that it's hard enough to hit one person with it reliably. I mean, we talk about it. I mean, you will hit people with it. I mean, it's not impossible to hit. But
I mean,
people will
but the
stat.
thing is, we always say this, but like, there are places where you will fight where it becomes really easy. Like, any choke point, any shrine, over most objectives, in gates when you're pushing, in gates when they're pushing, things like that. Points where they are having to push together and they are pushed into a group. Or even if it's just a simple mosh pit. Like, just for the win more element of, like, being at 20 and you've got mosh pit and you can land a decent 2-person mosh. You're going to annihilate them with the free warp rifts. It does really rely on kind of setup, like that the Probius loop with the Gazlo. Woohoo! Value. But I think these two are fun. But they're niche. I think really it's going to be one or the other for, you know, picking the powered up version of your level 10, either doing more damage
100%.
or doing more zoning.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, maybe Probius loop with that mosh pit, as you say, getting loads of warp rifts off, getting loads of explosions, loads of slows. I would take the powered up for Jamie's patent turret build, I would go with the increase your additional pylons, construct additional pylons.
Yeah.
I mean, it's worth bearing that
we should have a turret off.
they're not. It's worth bearing in mind that with the construct additional pylons, I'm just sort of gonna say this. You still, I mean, it takes you 45 seconds. No, sorry, 30 seconds to set those all up. If that makes, I mean, they're not. You don't get an extra charge of pylon.
Yeah. It still takes you 28 seconds to set them up once you've put down the first one. Yeah, one stack of 70. So it's even more reliant on you picking up, or you being on a map that allows you to settle up in sort of situ. I mean, really, I keep returning to Sky Temple with him in my head as to like the perfect map for him being played. You know where the shrines are going to be. You've got plenty of time to get there and set up and kind of get your zoning apparatus in place. And then you just destroy the enemy team as they come in. Because they're going to get stuck in those little choke windows if they ever try to come in. And you can just bomb them to fuck.
Especially the bottom shrine. I mean, there's one way in and out of it. And you can... But see, the thing is, with the bottom... You talk about that. But with the bottom shrine, I mean, I think I would take the null gate for that particular defense. I mean, I think I would rather have the null gate, just put it across the side where they have to come in. I mean, they're not going to come in round from your side if you've got your team with you. You put it in that bush, they probably won't even see it, and they walk through it and they're taking damage before they even know what's it. I mean, if you put it in a bush, is it hidden?
Yes, I think so. Also, fun fact, that turret didn't start shooting me for ages. Like, I was able to... Yeah, I can actually siege from out of building range with him. Just.
I mean, it's still good. I mean, you say just. I mean, you've taken, what, a quarter of that fort's health off. I mean, we are at level 25, but still. You can't outrange buildings with your turrets, I don't think. No. I mean... We've kind of like... What do you think about him? I'm not sure.
I like him. I think... I struggle with Gazlo because I just can't get my head around how I'm supposed to play him, what I'm supposed to do with the turrets, picking them up, managing the scrap and stuff like that. I find him an easier person to manage than Gazlo, personally.
Yeah.
And I find him more fun. I prefer the
it.
mobility. I prefer the kind of magey Li Meng. You know, I always play Li Meng because she's pretty much the only mage I can play. I can kind of do a passable Jaina, but... yeah, like, I don't know. I think I like him more than I like Gazlo, but I never play Gazlo, and I don't know whether I'd want to play him.
I mean, the thing is, I agree. I like him more than I like Gazlo, but I really don't like Gazlo.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we did that stream a few weeks ago where we were playing about with the Malfurion and Gazlo thing, and yeah, it was a bit of fun, but then I'm like, I actually Gazlo.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't understand him. I don't have the brain capacity.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Gazlo's changed a lot in the most recent patch that we're on the PTR, so it might be worth revisiting him at some point. But I don't know. I like Chromie. I like Li Meng. I think he's kind of like a buildery version of those two. So I'd be interested in playing him, but I don't know if I'll ever try and take him into like Team League or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've said for ages that I really want a builder character.
Yeah.
And now they've given me a builder character. I'm just like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want him anymore.
That's because you're a noob. No, I can see. Like, I think he's really fun, but I think he certainly has his maps he's good on and his maps he's bad on. And like, it's really he really struggles in any 1v1 lane matchup because he's got like murky levels of health, but without murky levels of respawn. Yeah.
Murky levels of just being an asshole.
Yeah, and like some people will say that if you live in a lane alone, he'll wreck your face. But most specialists will do that.
Most characters will do that.
Well, yeah, most characters will do that. Yeah.
With the changes to minion, I mean, we say changes. These it's been like this now for what, 6 months or something. But
Yeah.
I mean, with the minions hitting so much harder now than they used to, I mean, as long as you can kill a minion wave, which pretty much anyone can, there's very few characters. I mean, Lucio maybe, which doesn't add much to that push.
Yeah.
But why is Lucio by himself anyway? I mean, what I'm saying
Abathur,
is,
but not in hat form.
mhm.
He'd,
I mean, I think even Abathur, but not in hat form, probably would do more because he summons locusts.
yeah, true.
I mean, we're being a bit silly, but my point is like leaving anyone in lane to push,
Yeah.
who no matter who they are. Don't leave people in lane, people. It's not difficult.
Yeah, I think like he's a really. I can definitely see him getting played in Hero League and possibly at Team League. In maps where you have to defend a point for a consistent period. Braxis, I think he'll be great because he has really good wave clear as well to deal with Zergs if you do lose. Like, you can just drop warp rifts and explode them on Zergs all day long and you do shit tons of damage to them. But I think in general play, I think he's going to struggle, and I can't see him getting play in competitive just yet. I think they need to fix his 16 talents so that there's some sort of power spike at that point.
Yeah.
I think that, yeah, they need to fix his 16 talents so that he gets a bit more of an improvement at that level, because so late in the game to get something that's so lackluster, I have to wait another 4 levels before you can get the 20s. I don't know. But anyway, we'll see. We'll play some games with him on the PTR. We won't do that tonight because we've waffled on for almost an hour and a half. We'll get some games on the PTR and we'll see what happens when he goes live. We'll do some quick match with him, of course, as we always do. But I think that's a fairly good place to wrap up.
Yeah. I mean, interesting things to note about him. Just, I didn't get a talent massively wrong by misreading it.
Yeah,
which
that's
is good.
Always a bonus.
And because we like both ultimates, we're not going to call the ultimate wrong.
Yes. Get him.
It's a win.
A successful stream if there ever was one. If you liked watching us live, then please hit the follow button up there. Otherwise, hit us up on Twitter, orange_head, and Facebook, Orange Head Gaming, as you can see in the wonderful banner up there. If you're watching us on YouTube, then please hit the subscribe button, and you'll get told whenever we've got a video coming up on there. I promise I will be doing some more Neo at some point to get the Let's Play going again soon, but HOTS is life, HOTS is love. Otherwise, yeah. Oh, also, just a small thing. I got to play with Trixler and Bakery on the PTR, and it was hilarious. I totally didn't fanboy over them at all. No, not.
Did you record any of it?
No, I didn't have anything set up at the time. Plus, I thought it was it would be a bit weird to record someone else's stream that I'm playing.
I suppose, yeah, they were streaming at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be weird.
Yeah, but yeah, it was hilarious. Never let Bakery play a melee character is what I've learned. His Tro was interesting, but then so was Trixler's Gal. So anyway, folks, we will catch you another time. Thank you for watching. I hope our input was useful. My other computer is frozen for a second, so I don't know what's happening. Oh no! Oh, there we go.
I'm gonna say bye anyway, and hopefully it gets the bye.
Frozen for a second, so I don't know what's happening. Oh no! Yeah, I think it's working again now. There we go.
Okay.
That's weird.
Bye.
Anyway, bye.